related concept to what we just mentioned in the previous video is a technique and a method which is a very powerful way of coding. We call it, just to give us a term for it, scenario coding. And the idea is that you're trying to design a piece of software, right? A function, let's say, or a class. But you don't know how the whole thing will work, how it will hang together. And so what you do is you fix on a scenario it has to deal with, i.e. a set of input values and corresponding output values. And then you work your way through the whole system and writing your code as generally as possible to cover this scenario. Once that scenario works, you then expand the range of scenarios that you're going to code. You shift the values that you might be inputting. You create different conditions. So you work through building up your code scenario by scenario, or category of scenario by scenario, set of inputs versus others. So for example, later on you're going to be doing the sort. So what you would do is you would, in your mind, say, think of a sequence that you would think of that as your scenario. There's your input data. Then what you would do is you would try to code it so it coded and worked for this one. And you could trace your code through to make sure that it behaves correctly. Then once it works for this, you can then expand the scenario by changing the input values. That's a very, very powerful way of coding. Always pick simple scenarios. So if you're doing a search or a sort, something like that, just 3 numbers would be enough just to get you started. And then you can test your code and build it up. So this is also a very, very important style of coding practice.